Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement, where today I get to sit down and talk with a super fun streamer. Her name is Zambes. Stick around, we have an excellent chat.
Talent, so this is the closest it gets. Yes.
You're gonna be in a band, like you don't know it, but like you're a dangler whether you like it or not. And Mike Disney is.
I'll play the triangle.
I want to get you like screaming metal vocals for your track.
Man.
I've been thinking things about what I'm going to do for yours, and that's going to be my next music project I work on. So you just keep on, get ready, get primed.
All right. Yeah, that moment, like, kind of was a little bit of an eye awakening for me, because like I came back and I was like, all right, it's already time to end the stream. I'm just gonna raid out so that you guys don't have to sit here and just listen to me talk for 2 more minutes. And I looked at the numbers, and like, I know like a lot of people are like, you don't need to focus on the numbers, but at that moment it was just like, all you people waited for me to come back, and I just wanted to like take a second to let everybody know that the people who did wait, like, I appreciate that. And I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that, like, I don't know, to let people know that they are appreciated is like, means a lot, because it means something to me. I want to let you know that it means something to me, and I want to, like, I don't know, bring notice to that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Just so you know, like, that's going to be the first part of our conversation. So I'm going to take a second to say, Zambies, thank you so much for hanging out with me in the murder basement. I really appreciate you spending an evening with me here. It'll be great to get to know you better. Zambies, I think I first heard about you through Sam Lynn's. He kept on talking about the Zambies character, and I thought he was just talking about zombies in a funny way, because it's like, Sam Lynn says funny shit sometimes. And then I think he rated your stream, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, there is somebody named Zambies, and this is brilliant. Or you rated him or something, and then I was just like, I have to, like, I'm in for it. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. And from then on, I've been a huge fan of your personality and your streams. You're just so much fun. Zambies, thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, man.
So we started this on you talking about wanting to reciprocate, like, thanks to your audience. And like, because I think the way that the conversation started, the squirrel happened and we kind of went around. Your power went out in the middle of like having a pretty big stream, and you like hop back on, but you were going to hop off, and like your audience waited for you. That's what you were talking about, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It was just an eye-awakening moment where you feel finally, like, I don't know, everyone says this community, and this community means so much, and then there are moments that you see how much that community means to you and you mean to that community, and the connections you make aren't just like, yeah, you're putting on a show on Twitch. It's like, it's something more than that. You're making friends and family and all these connections. Like, I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for that. I wouldn't know Sam and all these other amazing people, and you're part of more than just, I stream and then I get off, and the fact that everyone just waited because they, like, I literally said, hey, my power's probably gonna go out, and bam, my stream cut, and everyone just hung out for I don't know how long it was, and it was really cool.
it's long enough that like I've had camera problems and lost half of my viewers just because I'm like, and I'm having troubles, and people are like, all right, deuces, I'm out of here. like it's amazing how fickle an audience can be on Twitch. But once you start to build that communication between your audience and they start trusting you, I don't know if it's ever super smart of us to trust them as much as we want to, but I think as people stick around and you start to see like who they are, it makes a lot of sense. Like I've made some really good friends off of people hanging out watching, and I don't think there is any ulterior motive. They are just people who are here for a conversation. They're here because we like the same music. They're here because we like the same models and we like to talk about it. And that's wild. Like I don't know where this exists anywhere else. Like the longer I'm in it, the more magic it is. And I'm waiting. One of these days it'll show like a seedy underbelly that I don't know about. But like I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know how that could manifest because like I've seen the worst. I've seen the worst of what people have to offer, and I just don't see Twitch amplifying that at all.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like in every platform, there's pros and cons to everything, and there's different type of people, and like the mini painting and art community is a little bit nicer because I've seen the gaming side, and I made some great friends. Like some of the people who watched me when I was gaming, like my first subbers, are still with me all throughout this. And some of them don't do art. Some of them I've convinced to mini paint, and I've literally corrupted them. I've been told that, and it's there's different aspects to everything, but I feel like in our area, at least, it seems to be a lot safer, and there's like a stronger bond,
Sure. So you started off doing Twitch doing video games then, not hobby stuff, not art stuff.
No, yeah. Well, no, yeah. That's Midwest to me. Yeah.
Nailed it, yeah.
Yeah. It was, I had started with the hopes of doing art, but not mini painting, because I didn't even know about mini painting yet. I had hoped to do illustration, and I am a graphic designer, so digital art. But Classic WoW just came out, and I was very new to Twitch. I didn't know anything really about it. I hadn't watched anyone on Twitch. I had one friend, and he convinced me. He was like, no, you should just do it. Just stream WoW and get your feet wet with it. So I did that for like a month and a half, and then I transitioned into illustration, and then I went into mini painting because I found mini painting.
So did another streamer introduce you to mini painting and you were just like, okay, this seems pretty cool? Or did you just get that like, oh man, I need to paint some plastic right now. Like I saw this little thing at a game store and I can't stop thinking about it. Like because like 2D art and like digital art it uses such a different like skill set, like you are thinking about things very differently. Not saying that they don't help miniature painting, but like I wish I had a lot more of that, because I think it would have put me down my road a lot longer instead of having to learn color theory on the fly and all those fun things that graphic designers and illustrators, they are trained to do. It's like I didn't seem to have that. So like what was the transition point into miniatures? Because like it is a little obscure corner of the internet that we're in.
Yeah, I actually so one of my friends that I went to college with, he was I believe it was animation major, but he does comic book art. He's a comic book artist, and I found out that he streamed on Twitch. So I went to his page to give him a follow, and he was hosting a mini painter, Gray Paladin Art. sweet UK man. And I went and I saw this and I was like, what is he doing? So I clicked on his page and I was watching him for a bit. And then I decided to give him a follow, and I think I started watching him a few days, and I was asking him some questions about it. He was so kind. Like, I literally said, listen, I'm a noob, so I have no idea what you're doing, but it looks really cool. And I didn't realize, like, I have figurines and stuff like that, and people painting them as a hobby never clicked for me. And I didn't have any friends that ever did that. I was never introduced to that before. So I just started watching him, and he was like, oh man, you got to do it. So I actually won one of his giveaways, which was a Reaper gift card. So I used it, and I bought a Reaper starter kit, and I was like, I'm doing it. So I painted my first mini, and I was like, yeah, I like this. And I kept going, and the more I started painting, I was like, yes. Because I think Eni mentioned this before, and we're kind of like on the same page about this, where if it was something that could hold my attention for so long, I knew that I would stick with it. Because I seriously have undiagnosed ADD, and I will try so many different types of art forms, and I'll be like, yeah, I like this, or I like that, and I just try a little bit, jack of all trades. But it was just something about minis that captivated me, and like I got bit with that bug, and I totally have the passion for it. Like, I seriously don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
That's awesome. I think that miniatures that, like, I don't know about you, but like I feel sometimes when I see, like, I've got this, like, creature caster berserker guy just sitting here, like, and I have him sitting on a chess X dice thing, because I'm like, maybe I'll use my dice as a plinth, and I'll do this. Like, every time I see a miniature, I'm trying to get it to tell its story. I'm like trying to figure out why somebody took the time to make these things, and they're like super detailed, but they're like this big, and my brain doesn't work like that. Like, I'm like, sculpture needs to be big, it needs to be like, public, and art needs to be something that is enjoyed by all. And these artists have said this art needs to fit in your pocket. This art, like, this art needs to be something, and especially in like the Reaper case, like, these things need to be able to be gamed. They need to be like, kids need to have them, throw them in their, bags of dice. Dogs need to be able to chew on them and not die. Like, there's this like really interesting, like, other side of the art side, because they're not just toys. There is some magic there that, like, every time I see a new one, even if I don't like really want to paint it, like, I'm always touched by the amount of detail and effort that goes into them.
I always think it's funny when people call them toys. Like, every time someone's like, they post a meme where it's like, you're playing with toys or something like that, and it never clicked to me that these are toys. Every time I see a new model, I always think they're like little works of art. They're little sculptures. Someone took the time to model that, like, whether it was clay, whether it was 3D or something. I always see them as functional pieces of art.
Yeah.
I don't see them as toys. So, like, I know you play with them, you game with them. I get that, but that's why, like, I just made that term up. We're using it. Functional pieces of art,
Yeah.
Like,
no,
they're not toys. There's something else.
And like, some of them, like, once you start watching like artists develop their things, their chops, and they're making their worlds, like, they are little insights into what they are, like their mind, their soul, like, little pieces of it goes into each one, and like, there's fans of old Games Workshop artists back when they used to do like the 3-up sculptures, like, that they loved, like, this guy's thing, and they'll still, like, those old metal models that, like, none of us are super interested in, like, they have still, like, have so much camp value, you know, like they just like, you can't, it's important to these people because at that point in their life it was formative. And again, like I don't know where that comic books, you know, like golden age comic books are garbage. They are awful. They're drawn poorly, they're colored weird, they're inked poorly, but you know what, you still can't help but love them. And they set up design for the next generation. And you know, it's like for me, like I love 90s comics, you know, because like being like a teenager in the 90s, that was like the Spawn look. I realized so much of like my art style comes from comic books that I haven't read in 25 years. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, I was never really big into comic books. Like I didn't have a lot of them, but I always appreciated art. I always loved it. And a lot of like my illustration style is kind of like that, because not as in like, more like graphic novels. Like a lot of the ones I had were like Jamie the Homicidal Maniac and stuff
Hell
like that.
yeah.
And that's kind of like my art style. I used to actually print out pieces of the comic or like the graphic novel. It was like really thick. I don't know where that is now. I get lost somewhere. But and I would color them like coloring books.
Nice.
I loved that style so much.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that is a great way to hone your chops and like understand the pieces a little deeper. That's really sweet. So has the more macabre sort of things been your favorite art forms? Like with a name like Zambies, I have to imagine that either this is your birth name and your parents are crazy, or you have
well, I won't deny that, but
Mrs. Decays was really into some weird stuff.
I have this saying that I like to make cute things creepy and creepy things cute, because I like living on the edge. I like zombies, but I like zombie comedies. So I just really like to have that weird in between where, okay, you have a skull, but it's a really an adorable skull, or you have a teddy bear, but it's a torn up, disheveled old teddy bear. You know, it's that weird line.
I absolutely love it. I think that is I mean, like I've always been like in the same zone, although like you know, cutesy was not part of like the 90s. Cutesy didn't come till later, and that was like in like the early 2000s that people started like, especially once like Hot Topics started popping up everywhere. And it wasn't just like, you know, like the raver goth wear that like there's some kids that I went to high school with, and when I think of them, I can only think of them in those weird neon, you know, black and green pants. Maybe.
I never shipped you a picture of me when I was in high school. Yeah.
Definitely had those.
I had, you know, the striped tights. You know,
oh, yeah.
Kind of like Alice in Wonderland. I had those in every color of the rainbow.
Oh man, me and my Jinko wearing high school days, we would have been friends.
I had all the trip pants. You had to have all the like chains, and your pants had like 12 different straps. Why? I don't know. Maybe you were gonna tie someone up later.
Yeah.
Murder basement. Oh, I forgot to ask you, because this is where I go off on the squirrel moment. Since we're in the murder basement, am I a victim or an accomplice?
I think for tonight you're absolutely an accomplice. Like I couldn't ever, you wouldn't ever be a victim in the murder basement. That I don't think that exists, and if it does, like the outcome's very different. Like that's like a social murdering. But I don't want to play that game. That scares me. That's too much power.
All right, well, just warning, I'm already undead anyway, so.
Okay, perfect. Well, then you will be unscathed, because that's the way this place goes. Yeah, there's something I still have friends that are like still getting like you know, what's it called? You know, Nightmare Before Christmas tattoos and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, guys, we are so old. But I love your tattoo. Like, I absolutely love it. It like this means so much to me. And it's so weird that like that formative stuff that just never goes away. And like I'm still want to figure out a way to incorporate like a Hedwig and the Angry Inch tattoo or something, like, because out of all the things from high school, it's the one that has stuck absolutely the most.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, there's certain things that just never go away, and whether they become massively popular or just popular to a certain group of people, they mean something to us. So it's like a little cult, like
Yeah.
what is yeah, just all of that. Nightmare Before Christmas, and I feel like a lot of Tim Burton movies, but like when I was young, it was like The Crow. That was like a big thing. I totally wanted a tattoo of so many things in that movie. But yeah, that was like one of my favorite movies. That and The Labyrinth. Like, I feel like The Labyrinth was never popular when I was a kid, but now it's like, see, now everyone loves it. And I'm like, what? And like David Bowie, that's like a running theme back when you could play music on Twitch. It was like, Bowie was always in my channel.
I played a lot of Bowie as well, and one of these days, like I don't ever want to do something that can jeopardize like my future on here. Like, you are actually like going places. You have an audience, you have a schedule, and like that's so fucking exciting seeing in such a short period of time, because you're just coming up on your year anniversary, which you told me last night when I was doing my homework. And like that's, yeah, like these are the things, like I remember this stuff. I'll never actually remember your name, but I will remember things about you for the rest of my life, and that's just the way it goes. Yeah, in a year, being able to have 60, 70 people like per stream is wild. That's absolutely wild in the hobby space. It seems like there is like a roof for like the every person, which floats anywhere from like 7 to 25, and then there's the people who are making it, which is the 25 plus, and then you have like the fucking magicians, which is Adam from Tabletop Minions, who just like day one shows up, he's like 200 people and he doesn't even appreciate how amazing and special that is, because like when he does YouTube stuff, it's like hundreds of people, like 500-600 people at a time, because YouTube, everybody's already on there, but like the interaction is very different on Twitch. Like, it is a very different platform, and it's so fun seeing him like come from YouTube into Twitch and treat it like YouTube. Like, I can't wait to see his channel in another month. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, I think he does appreciate it, but I don't think that, like, he's so new to Twitch, he doesn't probably understand, or maybe not, like understand is a good word, but like get that it's not as big as YouTube.
Sure.
When it comes to mini painting, as even me, people like are saying, your numbers are good, but to me it's just like, I don't even fully grasp all the time in this community that, if you think about it, Twitch is not just for gaming, but
right,
90% of Twitch is gaming, or give or take, numbers, math, whatever. But, and then you have art, and at the top, if you look at most of those artists, they're digital artists or body painters, and like some traditional artists really make it. And then out of all those like art categories, mini painters are kind of at the bottom, so there really aren't a huge viewership for it. And that's why a lot of people say like, oh, why are you doing mini painting? You could be doing something else and probably getting more viewers. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to be doing anything else. Like, this, I'm doing what I want to do. If you want to watch me, that's awesome. But it's like, I'm doing what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Because if you do something that you don't enjoy just to get viewership, like, you're gonna burn out. Yeah, you're not gonna enjoy streaming. Why do it?
The streaming, while being super supportive, is incredibly hostile. Like all the time, it feels like you have to be protected all the time because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to come and chat and be a fool. You don't know what's going to like I had friends from high school like totally trolling me for like a month and not telling me who they were, and I was like, this is starting to get actually weird, because at a certain point I'm just like, what are they gonna do? Like we all know, like I was a shithead in high school. Like, so when are you gonna drop the bomb on people who didn't know me in high school? Like what's gonna happen here? And I was just like waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it turned out like they were just fucking with me, and they were like really sweet people who I hadn't talked to in a while, and I felt very fortunate that I was like, all right, like I don't have to deal with the chaos. But like I've seen, like, you know, MinMax ran into issues fairly quick with a couple of people that just like couldn't respect boundaries, and that's really hard to deal with when you are not ready for like the armor you have to wear with an audience, because you want to be accepting of everything, but you need to be able to like be accepting but also like put up one hand and say, all right, now you need to chill out, and like it's a weird game to play.
Yeah, definitely. So that's another thing, is like, since I had that short period of time of gaming, I have seen that, and being now more in the art community, it's less, but it does happen. And I feel like I'm a little bit more fortunate because nowadays, like, my own mods troll me, but it's all like, it's family troll. I troll myself. Like,
Right.
I don't take myself seriously, and I feel like I said this earlier, knock on wood, but I literally don't get a lot of trolls that are just like trying to mess with me that are non-sexual, because it either goes over my head, and I'm just not a fun person to troll because I troll myself. My mods troll me, and they're like, okay, I don't feed the trolls. That's my mod, or my motto. I do not feed trolls. You will go. Because being a female, yes, gender card here, I have been subject to sexual harassment comments every once in a while. Unfortunately, people have gotten banned out of my channel because of that.
Sure.
So, you know, that is something, and I know that MinMax had to deal with something like that as well. Eni's dealt with that. I feel like almost every female streamer you can ask has dealt with it. I'm sure some male streamers have, you just don't hear about it as often. So, you know.
Yeah, it's I mean, within the first couple days of me being making affiliate, and I was streaming a lot, someone made a joke who I'd never seen on their my you know show them my feet, and I was just like like, I really hope that this is a joke, because you don't want to see these hobbit feet. And then like everybody's like, don't do it, and I was like, no, I'm not an idiot. I actually did read the things that I
POS,
like. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble here, but also, yeah, different being a guy, because like I never have to really worry about that. And if it does happen, like it's gonna like blindside me, and I'm just gonna be like, I think I was sexually harassed tonight, but I don't actually know, because it is so foreign.
Yeah.
And that's it's to me, it's totally heartbreaking that this is something that you actually have to go through. You know, this is something that you have to prepare for every single day that you go out there, and especially since like you do have kind of like a flirty nature with your channel. You're just fun, you're loose, you have zombie butts. It's hilarious. Like and somebody said that the zombie butt they thought was a fly head the other day in one of your chats, and I laughed because I thought the exact same thing. I thought they had this like weird, like super, and I was like, and because like most of the time I'm watching Twitch on my phone. Like, you know, so like it's so small, I can't tell what half the things are, and I was like, oh yeah, it's got a little like fly head, and then
I should have smoothed out the butt more. See, this is what happens. This is literally what happens. I say something and I'm like, oh, if a mod was here, that would be a quote. Yeah.
But I love that about your stream. I love the fact that like you are pretty fearless. You just do it. You say it. Sometimes I'm sure you have to rein it back in, but like it seemed like you have a really healthy group of people around you who are like, I mean, like chat tends to try to like police itself, especially when they know that they're getting away with murder half the time. They're like, don't fuck this up for us. This is so much fun. Like seriously, don't fuck it up. And I appreciate that about Twitch because again, I don't know any other format that the fans can interact and instantly say, stop something as it's happening instead of like, days, weeks later, something bad happened at a show with a band or, whatever. Like, no, they can be on it pretty quick. And, I've seen it. I haven't seen it on yours, but I've seen it on Eni's channel. And it just like made my heart kind of like first like break because she has to deal with that shit, but also just be like, oh, thank God that there's like, she's got a team. You guys got a team. And that's so cool to see. So kudos to your mods.
Yeah, you definitely have to. That's another thing. Like, mods are a big aspect where you don't usually have, I guess, maybe in some other platforms. I think, like, I haven't watched a lot of YouTube Live, but I think you do have some mods on there, I think.
Sure.
But, in one thing, and to kind of, like, not correct you, but I feel like in my channel, I'm never really, like, flirty with my chat. I
sure.
call it playful because I have this thing where like if you are part of the community and you have been there and we have created those boundaries, we do have we have butts. We talk about butts. Okay, I have a butt emote. I will forever even Uncle Adam has said that before on his every other Sunday show. It's like, oh, Zambies has the zombie butt emote, and Sam's like, that's what you're gonna be known for. And I'm like, all right, I'm the chick with the zombie butt. But I think I dress pretty conservative on my stream. I
Sure.
make it a note not to be overly sexual or anything like that.
Sure.
But at the same time, I feel like when you have that level of comfort, like you can let loose and have fun. And that's usually what my streams are. Like I have different moods and we have different streams. Some nights we're chill. We just want to zone out with some fantasy music and paint some minis. And other nights we get a little bit more crazy. But it's always it's usually me and the mods having those conversations because we have that consent.
Sure.
And we tell people that, and I make sure I tell people that. Like I don't let anyone else talk to me like that. And they know, when I give them the look, we have those set boundaries, and they keep everybody else in line. So I feel like I do want to be, just because humor is a big thing for me. And I have a wacky sense of humor. So I am playful and fun, but I know where the boundaries are, and I don't want to ever give the wrong impression to someone that has never been to my channel and just feels like they want to come in and be like, "Hey," it's like, no.
Yeah. And you're right. Flirty is the wrong term because it isn't like sexual in nature. It isn't that but there is like an energy that happens in your chat and with you, and just hearing you laugh, it's hard not to get swept up in that. And if you don't know the rules, and son of a bitch, so many guys are just perpetual boundary crossers. They can't help it. They see a red button, they have to fucking push it, and it's like, dude, that's fucking bait. Don't fucking press it. That low-hanging fruit doesn't always need to be picked. Fucking wait for a time when it's really funny, because you're gonna fucking regret that, doing something super early before you understand the rules. And I don't know what that is about just guys, the fucking idiots, like all of us are. Literally.
It's also, it's not to cut you off. I'm sorry, but it's also hard to communicate through text typing, all of that. a lot of what people say, especially in the English language, because our language is crazy, but makes no sense half the time. But what you say comes out through your tone and the way that you say things, and even your body language, and you don't get that. So you read something, and I usually give people the benefit of the doubt when reading something, unless it's completely bonkers, to be like, okay, how did you mean that? I usually always try to give someone like the chance, like I educate before I literally just, what I say, call you out on your bullshit. So you will, I'll be like, hey, how did you mean that? Okay, elaborate here if I don't understand something. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times I get lost in chat and I don't understand something. So
well, especially you have a very busy chat, and like I get lost on mine and it is not that busy, but like there's almost always something that I miss, and I always feel bad because like sometimes I'll go back to like the Streamlabs or the Nightbot thing that like keeps all of the like records of who said what and when, because I'm trying to find a link that somebody sent, and I'm like, oh my god, I totally missed this guy. Absolutely responded to me, and I thought that they were just totally ignoring me or whatever in the bathroom, or like it's the chat is such a dangerous tool. And like I've seen like like Mike Disney, he can get pretty hot pretty fast. Like it's, for as nice of a guy as he is, once like a button's pressed, it's like he is like blowing up. And I watched a guy one morning with him just like push that button, and he was just like, you're on thin ice, buddy. Like instantly I was like, whoa, what just happened? And like, yeah, within a couple minutes, the guy was like, you got to do what you got to do. And he's like, I know what I got to do. You were out here. I was like, whoa, like they didn't even have a conversation. I think that the guy was a perpetual, like everybody knew that he was there just to kind of cause trouble. So they just like shut him down early, which that's another thing. I like need to start keeping a list of people who I see act a fool, and I'd be like, okay, watch out for this guy.
I do that too. And Mike Disney is such, like, I will say nothing but sweet things about that man. He is such a nice guy and will give anyone like the shirt off his back. So to really make him angry, like, that's like, And I like that too, like, especially people I see in other streams. If I see you disrespecting someone that I am friends with, I support, and I care, I'm gonna be very cautious if you come into my stream, because it's just, like I said, it's a family and a community, and you have your community, but we're all part of this one big whole network. And people say I'm nice and a sweet person, but I also have buttons too. And when certain things get pushed, and one thing is like, I'm very protective of my friends, and so I'm very protective of my community as well, and I do not stand for toxicity. So if I find that anything is toxic, I don't want it near me, I cut it out. Like, nice. I'm not even gonna stand for drama. Like, it's gone. So I have no problem cutting people out of my life. That sounds really mean, but life is short, and for your own health, mental health, physical health, everything, you don't need that in your life if someone is just there to tear you down. So I'm like, seriously, if I see that, I'm very cautious of it.
Sure. I'm glad that you are able to see it and are can navigate that in a way that feels healthy, and like, I don't know, like, I'm still fairly new. I haven't really been like involved in a whole lot of things. I've got some messages from other streamers afterwards asking what I would have done in that situation, and like hindsight, it's always 2020. Like there was that one guy who was in Cutthroat Cures thing, and he totally like fucking tanked like a charity stream just because he was in a place where mentally he couldn't handle what was going on around him, and like that was really wild to see that, like he didn't even understand that his mental health that he was trying to protect was just tanking everybody else's around him. And like, I don't think that guy was necessarily a bad person, but he behaved really poorly on stream. Like, and then like Brush for Hire the next day was like talking him through it, and like spent 2 hours being like, dude, I have known you for a long time. That was wild. Like, that would like brought me almost to tears watching him stream raid, paint, and have one of the most mature conversations with somebody, and like chat just all kind of like calm down, and you just like watch this whole dialogue happen. That was amazing. I like, you can't make TV as good as what happened in that stream. So like if you weren't already addicted to watching people on Twitch, that right there is a reason why I will always come back, because like it was the most human thing I have ever seen. And like, people were just trying to hash it out and not be assholes to each other, and understand where everybody stood and like how to move forward. That was wild, and heartwarming, even though I don't think it ended up near as, the way that we would hope that it would. I think the lessons learned there, especially for anybody looking in, there was a lot of angles that I hadn't even considered, and just like, tanking a charity stream, like I didn't even think about that, like the implications of what that means to the overall community. Like that's something very different and very immediate that like I've again never been a part of. So like it feels like there's so many angles that you have to watch out for out there.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, it's live. People are in the moment, and a lot of people, like even me, like, I say weird things on my stream all the time, and it's live, and I'm like, all right, can't take that back. But when you're typing, at least when you're a viewer, you have those moments before you hit enter to actually think about things.
Sure.
So obviously was emotional and said something because he wanted to express himself. And in that moment, just the biggest issue, if you take away whether you thought his opinion was right or wrong, it was not the place, not the time.
Right.
Completely uncalled for.
Super
and that is the number one thing that everyone was trying to get across.
Yeah.
And that they took a moment to have their personal feelings basically overshadow everything else. And that was the problem that everyone was trying to get through. And and when I said I was there, I wasn't actually there for when Brush was streaming, but I went back and watched the VOD. And I don't usually watch a lot of VODs, but like, this affected me, this topic, like what Eni talked about, that affected me, and I wanted to know what was going on. And I thought Brush literally handled that beautifully, and like, he was so patient, and he gave that person every opportunity. And I think the problem was just everyone would have been accepting and forgiven him if he would have just admitted that, okay, what I did wasn't right, whatever my feelings are,
right,
it just wasn't right, and I apologize for doing it at that moment. If those words were said, I think people would have been accepting of that, and they weren't. And that was basically him kind of burying himself in that grave. Like, we like, Brush gave him an olive branch, and he didn't take it. And that's the thing, though, and like, things like this will happen. Some people will forget them, some people won't.
Sure.
Like, it's how it is. But just remember that, this is a community, this is a family, and what happens here, it's going to affect a lot of people. So you have freedom of speech. You can say what you want, but know that your consequences have actions.
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to agree on everything. And I love the fact that almost everyone in this community has crazy amounts of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
We're not all in the same field. We're not all artists. Like, someone's a lawyer, someone's a truck driver, like,
right.
and we all just enjoy this. And so we have different views on everything in life, but we're, like you said, for the most part, we're civil. Most of us are civil when we have discussions, and it's okay if we don't agree on stuff, as long as we handle it like adults and discuss it and say, okay, we agree to disagree, but you know, I'm not gonna like just start yelling at you, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to stay on this all night, because like, I mean, like, it's a hugely effective thing, and you know, Enie's a fucking hero for coming out the way that she did, putting herself out there. Like, I have more respect for her, and you know, like, if coronavirus is gonna keep on going on, I'm not gonna meet one of my heroes. You know, like, that's the kind of like vibe I have with her now, because like, it's brave, and then like the next day, even though, you know, her world was kind of in a state of disarray after that, she went back, she did the same thing, she was painting, she was having a good time, she's just being herself, and like, that's you know, a fucking survivor and an icon that I hope people, you know, gravitate more towards. That's the stuff that, like, again, like, you don't have heroes like this in the musician world. You have the fucking horrible people that you find out that you thought were good that aren't, you know, like, that's the stuff that, like, I'm not used to seeing people actually, you know, publicly be brave. Like, that happens daily here in this space, and that is something, you know, like, I was not ready for. I was not ready for a community that that lived so on its sleeve and so on its cuff, and now that I see that it's here, and I see people like you, like, you know, your efforts and all of that, while maybe not everybody knows the story, like you went above and beyond to try to, you know, make things better as well, when you didn't have to. You know, there, like, you could have just been like, well, you know what, I don't want to deal with this, and you did. You stepped up, and like, kudos to you for like not letting bridges be burnt and extending olive branches out, you know, when like nobody else in the world would know. 2 weeks from then, once that VOD is totally gone, and you know, I think you guys raised what, like $8,000 for the guy with his kidney. Like, that whole charity stream was so cool. Like, we'll remember the charity stream that went off pretty successfully, but like the chaos that happened behind the scenes, like, you know, that's all totally forgotten about. But like, for me, the things that you did, you know, that those efforts aren't lost on me, because that's brave too. Like, stepping up and, you know, getting in there and trying to make sure that, you know, everybody understands where everybody is, I mean, it's really special. So thank you for being being bold through all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really feel like I'm bold. I think I'm just like being a decent human being to like that sounds funny. It sounds funny, and I mean, like, I'm not, and that's not meant as disrespect to anybody, but I feel like in the world, especially today, a lot of people have lost sight of like just being a decent human being and caring for others. And it's usually people who are like, oh, well, how does this affect me? If it doesn't affect me, then I don't really care. Or it's just like minor inconveniences have thrown the world in this giant loop, and no one's stopping to think about others. And that's another thing. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you're really, really kind. And I'm like, well, kindness is something the world needs right now. Like, and I am kind to those who deserve it. And that's me. Like, I will give my kindness to someone, but the moment you either take it for granted or you're just not a nice person, then don't think like I'm not, like, I'm real. I'm a human being. I have different emotions, but you know, I'm not always happy and bubbly, but I try to at least be, you know, like a ray of sunshine and bring some positivity as much as I can to other people, because I know we're all going through some crazy stuff right now. So
Sure.
But yeah, like, and what you said about Eni, it's true, and that's who she is. Like, you know, behind the scenes, you know, it's nerve-wracking, it's scary. Like, she knows there's going to be backlash from putting this video out, but she's thinking about everybody else that's being affected. And therefore, you know, she has to put her feelings aside. And, you know, if this makes a difference for at least one person, then it's worth it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you following the Lady Hammer movement on Instagram at all right now?
No, I don't think so. I'm literally, I will say, especially when it comes to Twitter, and I don't like Facebook. I am a social media nub. I feel like I'm an old person. Like, I'm not cool or hip. I don't keep up with that stuff. Like, Instagram is probably the one that I am the most capable of using, but
The most capable of using. That is just like a ringing endorsement of your time. I'm the most capable of using Instagram, but
yeah, it's like, it's funny because I'm a graphic designer and I know like the websites, user interfaces, and all of that stuff, but like I know
you mean GUIs? GUIs?
I know how to work stuff and design for it, but at the same time, it's just like technology and me don't get along very well. I break things. I'm a hands-on person. I'm an artist. Like, I make things.
That cracks me up. I love it. So on Instagram right now, like it's an interesting thing. Like there's this one woman, and she goes by Warhammer Princess, and she is doing a podcast right now. I think exclusively on Instagram, which is interesting, where she is interviewing women from the hobby. I think most of them are UK based. So I've watched a little bit of it. Like it's hard to watch a 40-minute conversation on Instagram, but it's pretty cool that she's doing that and reaching out and boosting the signal of her community there. And like I messaged her this morning as one of the people that she was interviewing was getting a lot of backlash from because I mean she's just a woman in the hobby and is doing well, and guys don't like watching that happen, and they feel like that you know they aren't getting a fair shake, and so they lash out in really shitty ways, and I thought it was towards her. And so I messaged her. I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with shit." And she's like, "Oh, it's not me. It's other people." And she's like, "I'm really fortunate. This is not splashback." And I'm like, "Well, I'm like proud of you for like doing this for your community, because there isn't enough of that stuff happening here." And I find that like you have a totally different story about getting into the hobby than just about anybody else. Like you kind of, with guys, you kind of just assume that they were like dorks in high school and they like this stuff, but like you just got into the miniature hobby. You're brand new. Like you're still just a toddler, but yet you like actually are great like with it. And like I watch some of the things that you've done on stream, and I'm just like, in 9 months she has like figured out how to do all these blends and all this stuff and use the color theory in the way that like it has taken me 2 years to even like start to even comprehend on how to do this in models. And it's so fun because like every time that you paint a model, it seems like it's something that's been in your hands for forever. It seems like you are very comfortable with it, like the physicality, painting something small, getting into the details. It seems totally natural to you.
Well, thank you. That's now you flattered me, and I don't know what to say. Yeah, I think it's been something like 9 months. I don't know. I started around Halloween last year, and it's just easy for me to remember because I love Halloween. But
yeah.
To derail that for a second, but like I was a dork in high school and as a child. I think you're like guys, you just assume you're a dork. It's like,
You mentioned the labyrinth. Like
yeah.
if you're into the labyrinth, you're a fucking dork.
Yeah, like I was like a tomboy growing up until like I got a little older, and then I was like a heavy metal goth phase, and I never really. They say it was a phase. I never really got out of it, but yeah. But I was like always fantasy girl, dragons. It's so weird. I never knew anyone who played Dungeons and Dragons, so I was never introduced to that. I played video games, and like Lord of the Rings blew my mind away. Like I have seen those movies more times than I could count. I could probably recite to you every bit of it. So
Sure.
I am just like in love with all fantasy stuff, and like going into miniatures and all of that. I don't know, there's doing art for me. I always painted and drew as a child, and it was like canvas and stuff like that, and I had like the cheap what is it, apple barrel paints, and
Yeah,
like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, the 25-50 cent paints, and then I elevated. I wasn't a very well-off child, like, so as in like my family, we like my mom always supported my creativity, but you know, I bought like the bottom of the barrel stuff to work with, like cheap brushes. I still use cheap brushes.
Sure.
And all of that. Like I grew used to using crummier stuff and making do with it. We're going off on a story within a story. I know.
I'm following you. I'm here. I'm
okay.
and I'm right there with you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like the same. Yeah.
But I had some teachers in high school that basically helped me out and gave me some better quality paints, and I took an oil painting like class. It was just like a high school class, but I loved oil paints, and I got to do that. I haven't done that since I was like 18 years old. I haven't touched oils, and I want to get back to that. I still have some of them.
Nice.
And I've seen some people like Eni and James Waffle use oils on minis, and I've gotta try that. But anyway, long story short, where are we? It's a squirrel. This is where you put up the squirrel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just painted so much as a kid and drew like constantly on everything. Also myself. Like I remember those Milky pens and stuff. I would give myself sleeves and
the
just,
Milky pens. Oh my god.
Yes, right. Yes, I would do it to my friends. My friends were like, draw on me, and I would just like I have pictures of me with like those tribal dragon tattoo like
Hell
stuff
yeah.
all over. I just everything. It's the only thing that clicked for me, and then I was stuck in the digital world and doing so much of that, and I got burnt out. Enjoying it anymore. Oh, are you still there? I think it dropped.
Oh no, we're back. We're coming back. It's happening.
Are we good?
Yeah. Okay, there it is. It's thinking. All right, we're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just stuck in the digital world, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And
So were you doing it as your job, like
yeah, I worked
illustration?
In the no, it wasn't much actual illustration. It was more like website design, advertisement,
Sure.
marketing, like I, pay the bills job. Like I liked the agency I worked for, but I just like it was. I don't know. Like I felt like my passion, my creativity wasn't there.
Sure.
And I wanted to get back into illustration and doing some. So I did like about 2 canvas paintings last year, and then I found minis, and then it's just been so therapeutic for me every time I paint a mini. And I think the thing right now is I don't do commissions for minis. I'm just painting for me. I'm just trying to push my boundaries, see what I can do, experiment, no rules. Art has no rules, and just paint. Have fun. It's pure creativity, and I think that is just why I absolutely love it.
Sure. So you do still take side commissions to make little tiny icons though for people though, which I think is pretty sweet. Like what a fun way to be like, and I can still get a couple bucks on the side of doing something that like the muscle memory's there. You can just turn it on. I don't commission miniature painting is a thing that I struggle with because like I don't have a lot of extra money, but yet I have very expensive taste. So like commission miniature painting is a good way to make some money, but it like sucks the fun out of the hobby. Like you're like, and I have been working on this thing that I only charge for 10 hours and I'm going on like hour 22 because I'm in the weeds with it now and I can't stop. Like you find yourself like while you feel really good about what you're doing, the second you have to give away your hard work that you didn't charge properly for, it sucks. It's not fun.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be there one day. For like, my commissions, because like I know my capabilities in graphic design and digital art. So I do emotes for Twitch, and I do logos because that's my background's a lot in branding, brand identity.
Nice.
And I've done a lot of stuff for GamerDad. He pretty much calls me his like marketing manager or something like that. I don't know. He comes to me whenever. I've done stickers, like anything that has to do with that type of stuff. I've done some illustration as well. I did a character design for inks. Just a lot of people in the community, which is nice because I love creating things for my friends. Like that is just, it's easier than creating it for just random clients that most of the time don't know anything about art, and then you have to deal with that, and they like write back to you, can you make this design pop more? And it's like, what exactly do you mean pop? I hate that. But yeah, like I feel like anyone out there who's a designer knows. But yeah, and for commissions now, like I say I don't do commissions because if you come to me and you're like, I want you to paint this, how much do you charge? I'm gonna be like, no. Because I don't, like, I am a slow painter because I am not timing myself. I'm not rushing. I'm literally just trying to improve myself as a painter.
Sure.
So I don't do that. But I have some minis that people have given me that I will be painting for them because I've done like art swaps or trades. Like I know Luminous in the community, he gave me a bunch of KDM models and he was like, in exchange, will you paint this for me? And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Because I have no limitation, no time restraint on it. And I was like, when I get to it, I get to it, and I'll paint it and I'll send it back to you, That I'm willing to do because it's someone I know and it feels like, there's not pressure there.
Yeah. And he's such a good fan too. Like you can't ask for like a nicer person to hop on one of your streams. Like every time I see him, like there's a couple people like AT Roger, when you see him in a stream, you're like, oh yeah, this is a good stream. Lomnus is one, Anzig is one. Like when you see these names pop up, you're like, oh yeah, no, this is where the cool kids are at right now. And it's really fun because they are so enthusiastic about what the people are doing on screen. They interact with them, and like that have made really boring streams for me way happier. Like, oh my god, hey, they're here, sweet, the stream is good now. Like it's funny.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is like I'm terrible with names, and like we literally have a name slayer command because I'm terrible with names.
I saw that the other day. It was awesome.
But I can't remember people's names. I'm terrible. It's like you can introduce yourself to me and be like, hey, I'm Joe. And I'll be like, yeah, I don't remember your name 5 minutes later. But I always remember like faces or something about that person. So a lot of the times I'll see someone who comes in and it's like, if I say your name in a weird way or you say something funny or I've seen your artwork, I will associate you with that. And then But over time, the funny thing is, like, all these people come into chat, and I feel like I get to know them the more they come back. And it's just like, I see them, and I'm like, hey, and it's just like, you remember things about them, and then they come back, and I'm like, how do I remember, like, hundreds of people? Like, how do I know that? I couldn't do that in real life. How do I know these people now? And
well, it is real life though. It's real life. Like,
I know that's what I mean. Like,
that is the weird thing. Like, pseudonyms are real life now, and these are your people. Like, like this is
people.
yeah, this is like some weird anime or something where like it to regular people it doesn't exist, but to us it exists and is the most important thing. Like our happiness is built around the community that you have like cultivated, and in return their happiness is, you know, like you are giving people magic to take out to the rest of the world. Like your happiness and, you know, cheery mood and playful nature makes people interact with people in the world, and like you don't know it, but like probably 10 people down the line is getting a little Zambi magic and they have no idea. Like, that's really cool stuff that you do. You are giving that to people, and that's a transactional nature of this relationship that we never get to see the end result of. Like, we just have to like give it out there and be like, yeah, I know somehow this is going to make someone's day better, and it's great.
Yeah, it's like paying it forward. I love that. Where I've literally I've had streams where I haven't been in the best moods. Sometimes when I start out the stream where I'm like, oh, I have a headache, or today, you know, usually it's my later in the day streams because I've been corrupted by the day. But
yeah, I get you. I'm there.
No, please come to my streams at night. No, it's not always like that. But sometimes there's been where I haven't been the greatest, but it's the people who come into it and then they literally brighten my day up. And then by the end of the stream, like, we're all having fun, and it's great. And I love like seeing those people come in. But most of the time, yeah, I do try to like brighten people's day. And I know this is weird, but I mean, like, I always have this thing where if you ever been in a terrible mood and then you snap at somebody and then they're in a bad mood and they snap at somebody else, and you don't want that chain reaction.
Sure.
So I always try to say, you're having a crummy day. If I can somehow at least crack a smile, you know, try to lighten that load or have you be slightly in a better mood, because I can't solve your problems for you, but, you know, just like sometimes you're in a funk and you just need to get out of it. And if you're in a better mood, then, you know, maybe you're like, I'm gonna help this person out, and then it's a good chain reaction. And I feel like we need more of that in life. Like, there are gonna be terrible moments. It is not the best time right now, but, you know, showing people a little love is not that hard.
No, so, it's like almost the least that we can do. Like,
yeah,
treat someone like a
bare
human.
Minimum.
Bare minimum.
Like a human.
The golden rule. Have you ever read the book The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz?
No, I haven't.
It's based off of a like an ancient South American religion, the Toltec Indians, who are basically like Mayans or Aztecs. I can't remember which. And that's like everything that they say is like, you know, if you encounter someone who's having a bad day and they're screaming at you or whatever, it's not about you. That's like one of the first like agreements, is it's not about you. You have no idea what these people's days are like. It kind of breaks it down in the fact that, like, you know, and you can give somebody something that actually might make their day better. And like when I first read it in high school, you know, my mom was really worried about me, just like I was depressed. You know, my first real girlfriend broke up with me, and I just was a shitty like kid. I was having problems, an undiagnosed thyroid thing that really, really messed me up. And like, she gave me this book, and like, it's my like kind of like go-to thing that like I just tell people about it, because it makes so many of like the easy things, just being kind to somebody, listening, being part of their world enough to make them feel better without like just completely covering yourself in like their toxic energy, like being able to give without having to carry their burden. It's a pretty amazing book. Just if you ever want something to make you something that you already do, make you feel better about you already doing it, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, you definitely send me that title later because I probably won't remember it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. And by the way, I have Hashimoto's, so I feel you on the thyroid.
It's not a great thing. I got Graves. It is not fun, and one of these days it will come back again. I'm in this awesome state of remission, but one of these days I will either be super aggressive and want to kill everybody and think that the world's out to get me, or I will be a puddle on the floor and you won't be able to pick me up. And I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there, and that's why like I try like so hard. I always say I'm high functioning because like that's the thing. Like I think that's what I get is you're always battling a war inside your head, inside you. And
sure.
Everyone's battling a war, and like some people are handling it better than others, and
yeah.
So like when I say I don't like toxicity, I don't like, I mean, someone can be toxic one day and just be having a terrible day, and that's what I say, I give people the benefit of the doubt. So yeah. I say if you can understand what someone's going through and try to calm them down and help them out is one thing. But if someone completely refuses and is on this path of self-destruction, or basically you're in their way and you're going to get steamrolled, that's right. The type of toxic that, you got to say, you got to cut your losses and for your own sanity, But yeah, I always try to think about that too is, in the heat of the moment, we don't always think about other people, but you don't know where someone's been. Like, unless you've lived your life with someone, you don't know. You don't know what they've been through. And it's not like a comparing thing. We all handle things differently too. We all go through different things, and some might seem worse than others, but we process things. Some process things better than others. And the world is not black and white. It is completely millions and millions of shades of gray. And so yeah, I don't know where we're going with this, but
I'm here for it, whatever it is. Like, no, I feel you, and like it's a pretty special relationship, that like being able to do this and talk with people. I mean, even just talking with you, like you and I don't know each other, but I appreciate you being like honest and vulnerable about like this aspect, because like I think that this is the stuff that helps people out later on. This is the timeless stuff. If we talked solely about what it's like working online, trying to entertain people during COVID times, in 6 months this thing may not have any relevance, or it might be scary relevant. But if we can talk about things that are more spiritual, esoteric, like this is something that people are going to come back to over and over again, and maybe pick up different things, because like I said, you have a very infectious quality about you, and maybe it's your zombie disease, I don't know, but I do know that like people keep on coming back, and that's really special and amazing. I'm going to do kind of like a nice soft segue into the first time that I actually like really sat down and watched your stream. You were doing a Pictionary thing with Mike Disney, where you were painting a Tool song and he was painting a Clutch song, and it was funny and cool. And then I found out that you guys are going to be doing a coloring book, which is so freaking cool. And I got to see some of the artwork that you guys have been working on that over the past months. And like how did you two get hooked up to start doing this? Was it just like the happenstance of being raided into his room and being like, oh my God, this guy's hilarious, I want to see this? Or did he search you out? Like, because you guys do have such nice complementing personalities that it's always so fun to see you guys work together. And you know, I love the idea of this coloring book.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think I got rated into him or suggested to him by someone, and I started watching, and he was actually illustrating, which I thought was cool because I hadn't seen a lot of mini painters that do other forms of art.
Right.
And so I was immediately attracted to that. And I was like, hey, this is awesome. Like, you're a really good illustrator. And he was like, oh, do you illustrate? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, send me some of your work. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I hadn't really dove into my sketchbook in forever. Like, most of the time when I'm doing sketches with design, because I had been stuck in marketing for so long, it had been just like little logos and stuff like that. It hadn't been like full-fledged creativity. So I sent him, I was like, these are really old, but I'm working on things. And he was like, something about like, we're gonna illustrate together. I'm like, okay. He was like, no, he was like, you know, it wasn't a forceful, but he was like, no, seriously, you're good. We need to do this together. And I had never co-streamed with anyone before.
Oh, wow.
So I was pretty, because I think it was a few months after streaming that I started, like him and I started watching each other on Twitch. But he was like, yeah, let's just illustrate. Let's just draw together. And I don't know if it was because I know he does Pictionary with Tea Time for Terran, but I didn't think he really did any other illustrations with people. I'm not sure. But we're like, all right, so we picked a theme and we just decided to draw all together. And then it turned into a thing where like the community liked it. So he was like, let's do it again. So we did it again. And then someone mentioned, yo, I want to color these. And it's always those weird ideas that happen in chat, whether it's me saying it in someone else's chat or people saying it in my chat. And like, yeah, let's do this. And then we started talking and we're like, we're going to keep this up and we're going to keep doing themes. And we went from there and we just kept going with it. And the big thing was we started with the dragons. We both were like, we're going to do dragons first because anyone who knows me knows I love dragons. We're going with dragons. So I had the idea to do seasons of dragons. So I started with autumn because it's my favorite. And Mike did winter. And then I did spring and he did summer. So he got the more dominant seasons. I took the kind of more off one transitional ones. And yeah, so we did our themes and we just finished our last one. So what we're doing now is we had a talk and it was only a few days ago and planned out everything. We're going to clean up the illustrations. We're putting it into a book. We're going to get the community involved and then we're going to get the book printed. And so it's going to be a coloring book / art book. So you can color all of our line work illustrations. There's going to be some colored ones in there. There's going to be some other people's artwork as well. But yeah, and it's not going to be like a kid coloring book. It's going to be like the nice paper adult coloring books.
You know, you could do a kid's coloring book, and I think all of us would still be there for it. Like it's nice that you guys have standards, but like if you haven't, to the viewer on YouTube or the listener in the podcast form, if you haven't seen these things or hopped onto one of these illustration streams, they're really fun. Like I never thought I would have fun watching somebody draw. In the same way that I never thought I would have fun watching somebody paint minis. Like, oh, you want me to watch paint dry? Are you fucking crazy? No, thank you. Like, I mean, like that's literally what we're asking our audience to do every time we're painting. It's just like, please watch this dry. It's very entertaining. Like, I had so much fun watching you guys do it, and you know, it was my first real introduction to Mike Disney as well. Like seeing him interact with you and chat, and you know, just like there was something about the vibe that was like it really worked for me, and I you know, I wanted to talk with Mike Disney. You know, the overgourd had been something in my little friend circle that we kind of had turned into like our little inside joke thing, because we're like, you know, the big gourd energy, because we saw somebody on the Reaper Facebook page talk about it, and it was just like, I have to talk to the person who created the overgourd, but like I didn't like understand, you know, until after talking with Mike, like that you guys are actually doing this, like that was going to be something, and maybe you didn't understand at the time either, you know, because Mike Disney makes plans for us. I'm in a band with him. We'll never actually have a practice together, but you know, we are permanently connected now, because I opened my mouth and he saw me, and now we're like this, and I love that that's the way that guy works. And you know, he loves like wholly and permanently, maybe to his own detriment from time to time. I'm sure that it has burnt him in the past, and you know, it's, to me, I hope that I don't end up disappointing him, because like he's so sweet and he's so fun, and his energy, like yours, is infectious. And I love the fact that anytime I sit down on like any of your guys' streams, I walk away feeling like energized and refreshed and good. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, that's a really big compliment. Thank you. Because I think that's like, I think when you're streaming, there are people that are phenomenal painters, and I don't consider myself one of those, because I'm still like, I don't know when I'm ever gonna get to the level of actually calling myself like a true mini painter, because I don't feel there yet. Like I've earned that right in my mind.
But what is a real mini painter to you? Like what?
What is a professional mini painter? What, when you do commissions, when you win an award, like what is that? You know? Yeah. So it's just that personal block of mine where I just like, I'm painting and I feel like people either watch you where you have one of two things or both of them combined. It's, you know, you have the talent, the personality, or you have both of them. And, you know, I kind of hope that I have at least the personality aspect down. And that's why people come back. But no, like I don't know. You always have self-doubt with things, but
sure.
Yeah, and with Mike, seriously, he does do that. And I think it's like he brings people in and he's so loving, and that's the bad part, is some people in as every aspect will want to take advantage of that. And I always feel like, you know, the people who are the kindest to me, especially when I first started out, like Eni. I started watching Eni like right before I started painting. And like, you know, seriously was cool with me, kind to me. People had popped into streams before I even was like considered under anyone's radar. The way you treated me there, like I popped into Sam's stream and I probably asked the stupidest question ever, and like I know everyone would have just like called me a nub or something, but he was totally cool, like completely down to earth. Like those are the people that I am attracted to coming back to their stream, because they treat me like a human being and they don't see me as any different.
Sure.
So it's the same thing as the people who come into my stream when like I had 5 viewers to when I had 50 viewers. It's like I see you, like the people that are loyal to me, I feel the need to be loyal to them. So I'm always going to try to be there with Mike, and like the thing we're doing together, I'm so excited for. I can't wait. And it's also nice that I love collaborating with different artists from different backgrounds. So we did the dragons, and then a sculptor, Valander the Red, took my dragon illustration and actually created it into a mini.
Oh, cool.
And then he gave it to Mike and I, and we got to paint it, and it was awesome. And nothing's really come of it so far. but it was just nice to see that you've done something that affected somebody else, and then a bunch of people were like, oh, I want to paint that. And I, like, sculpting's not my thing, but I started doing some concept art for other characters and stuff because of that. So,
cool.
Pretty neat.
What do you think the future for you is with the stream, with this mini painting? Because like Eni was like, she wants to do 3D sculpts, like, and every time she said, like, hints at that on her stream, like my, like, kind of heart, like, I'm like, oh, is she gonna start doing, like, I get like, I'm here because I want to see people live their dreams. I want to see people achieve the best versions of themselves, and there's something about being at this place and at this time. It really does feel like magic is happening all the time, and whatever I can do to help manifest these futures that we want, is like, I feel like I'm an enabler for that. I'm the synergist. Like, what are you doing? What can I do to help you get to the next point?
Yeah, I know. Like, I feel like since I'm so new still, that's what I keep telling myself, is like, I just want to push my painting to see where I can go, what I can achieve. Like, some people are like, oh, you should do a competition, and I'm not a big competitive person. Like, I'm not really, like, I'm playful, competitive, but I don't know when you feel like you're ready for that. But I do want to see, like, I never want to get, like, plateaued. I want to see how far I can go, what I can achieve. Like, with every new mini I do, I always try to challenge myself to try something new, whether I fall flat on my face or I succeed at it. The last mini was, I tried non-metallic metal, like a good try at it for the first time. It's all right, This new model I'm doing, I'm going to try to do sheer fabric. We're going to see.
That is something that I thought about doing on this last, like, I'm working on the Duchess right now, and I thought about doing like a sheer fabric around her, like, neck, and I just went back to my, like, traditional, I'm just gonna gray the fabric and then go to a white highlight, because, like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Like, I watched Shoshi do it, and I was like, that is way harder than I was expecting it to be, and like, and she's got lots of classic art training to do it. I'm like, oh, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's another thing too, is a lot of people are like, oh, you have an art background, like, that gives you a leg up on people. And I feel like that tiny bit is an insult to me, because like, you shouldn't just say, oh, because someone has a background, they're automatically going to be good at minis. Like,
right.
One, I have a background in graphic design in a digital aspect. And while I did take a basic color theory, I took one drawing class in college, and that was it. And it was like, draw this hallway and stuff like that. Like, I didn't, I had no painting classes. And like I said, I painted a lot when I was younger, but it had been like 15 years since I had picked up a brush.
Sure.
And it's, yes, you have certain knowledge and an eye for things, but whether you have a background in art or not is not going to define, like, where you can go and what you can achieve in mini painting. It's your will and how much time and effort you put into it. And that's kind of what I feel now is, I am not a full-time mini painter. I do tons of other stuff. I have kids. I have adulting. Literally 80% of the time I have to paint is when I'm streaming. So every once in a while, I could have some time to paint when I'm not streaming. Yeah. But that usually doesn't happen. I don't get to paint every day. And part of me feels like if I had that time to devote, and I only stream for 3 hours at a time too.
Yeah.
And I'm interacting with chat a lot because my chat can get crazy and all of that. So I'm lucky if I get to paint for 2 hours a day. and some days I don't paint. So I feel like if I had more time to devote to that, it's always like in the back of your head, you're like, where could I be right now versus how much time I'm putting into it. So I just like right now I'm just dead focused on learning as much as I can. And I know a lot of people have watched a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. I dove right into it as well. Like I watched people on Twitch. And most of the time I'm a very hands-on learner, and apparently I talk a lot with my hands. I just noticed that self-conscious for a moment.
It's
But
all right.
yeah, I see something done and I don't always quite grasp it. I have to do it myself. And if I fail at it while I'm doing it, then I learn from it and then I know what not to do again. So I'm not totally afraid of failing. Failure is a very good teacher. That's why a lot of times I just dive right in and try it. And sometimes people in chat will be like, that's the wrong way to do it. And I'll be like, okay, but now I know, like you can tell me the right way. And I'm totally there for like corrective criticism. Like I've had art directors, I know how to be shot down. Like that does not bother me. If you want to critique me, if you're doing it in a productive manner, that doesn't bother me. But if you're coming in saying you're doing that wrong, that's not how you do it, I'm going to be like, first of all, it's art and I can do it however I want to do it.
Right.
But, sure, there might be an easier, better way to achieve this, but let me figure that out,
Yeah. Well, I mean, so much of it is just the process. Like I watched a buddy paint up a Space Marine, and we did it like every Sunday for like 6 months, and he worked on one Marine the whole time. And like he just kept on, he's like, this shoulder pad has 12 steps. I was like, you could have done that in 2. You are overthinking this. And while I love what you're doing, I love that you're testing things out and that you're getting here, like you have to paint an entire army of this. Like that's very different than like doing a display piece. Like you're getting your test out, but like you're at this rate, you will never get to the end of this. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm like, okay, all right. It's like, if that's where you're at, man, like I will no longer try to give you any pointers on this until you ask, because like, if you're using that and you're actually learning, those steps are really important. It's really frustrating when you watch somebody do the wrong thing over and over again and they don't learn from them. Then you just got to be like, you just listen to me.
Yeah, that's like me. It's like doing something for the first time, never knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, just play around with it. But
Right.
Obviously, if it's like I'm painting all of this stuff and I need to achieve one effect, I'm gonna look and for the simple or way to do that, the more accurate way, I'm going to ask for help. I'm gonna look at the way other people do it. I'm gonna analyze that. But if I'm just like, I want to see what these 2 colors do together, I'm gonna shadow with this. Let's find out. And that's the same, like my approach to some minis is I had this idea in my head about how I want it to look, and then a lot of the other times I just let the paint guide me and see where it goes.
Well, your little fishy boy that you were working on there for a while, like the color choice on that was super bold, and I loved like going, the blue to orange is like such a time tested and true combo, but the way that you used them together was like so fun, and in a way that I would have not seen them. Like it had your signature all over it, and that was really fun to see that developed over those couple weeks that you were working on that. And it always inspires me when I get to see those things. You're just like, sometimes I feel stale because I'm only working in my echo chamber. You know, like with like behind the camera is an echo chamber of our brains and our self-consciousness. And like I'm looking at my stuff and I'm like, I'm just doing the same things wrong. I'm not doing this. And then like I see you and you're like, I'm doing this thing. And then you're like free-handing, painting suction cups on the tentacles and things.
Why did I do that? I
Oh my
sometimes
God.
get crazy ideas. I'm like, I should not have done this.
Well, and you were like doing it with white. I was just like, white is the hardest. Like, what are you doing? But like, the end result was like, I don't know if I actually got to see it 100% done, but I remember like seeing enough of it to be like, this is gonna be legit. This is really cool seeing this happen. And it's thrilling. As a viewer, it is thrilling to watch you figure out your process. And I wish I would have known that you were getting into one of the ritual casting like busts, because like I think I would have like showed up like day one, or like went back. I probably can still go back and watch the VOD. I should go back and watch the VOD because I want
I
to
don't
see.
watch my VODs.
No, oh, I don't either. Like I like to find out if like my mic is right, and then I stop watching because I'm like I can't do this. I can't do this to myself.
I just like, I'll face pop. I'll be like, why did you do that? Like, I mean, I guess that's part of the charm. People love it, but I'm just like, I can't watch myself. I don't.
Well, like everybody like asks about things that have happened in the podcast, and like I listened to maybe like 20 minutes, try to make sure like that I got like all the levels set right, but then I can't do it because I start hearing myself say and I do that so much, and it drives me absolutely crazy, and I can't do it. And a lot of people said, don't be so hard on yourself. You know, I've done podcasts before, and it was the same thing then too. Like I would listen to myself and just be like, God, I smoked way too much weed in my life. The brain cells are gone.
Yeah, I don't, one, because like, I don't know, I don't like hearing myself or like me laugh or anything like that. And two, I've been told that I have a really animated face, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch like all the weird faces. Like if you pause at one point, I'm probably making the stupidest face ever. Like it's guaranteed.
Well, I'll make sure that our thumbnail is nice and goofy. And
oh yeah, make it crazy. I'll just be like,
that would be the absolute best, because I find myself, like every once in a while the thumbnails are like some of the hardest things to get, because a lot of miniature painters are really animated. Like Sam Lens is super animated, and trying to get a screen cap where him and I's faces weren't like blurred out like some like ring monster, you know, like we were laughing so hard through our entire talk that the only thumbnail I could get makes him look like he's like it's just like it's insanely lit. It's so bad. I'm like, this is horrible for you too.
oh, I'm probably gonna be a ghost, like pale problems. But yeah, I'm just rocking in my chair, and I think that's like the thing with like Sam, Eni, and I, probably some other people. We probably have undiagnosed ADHD or something, because we're always crazy, moving around.
I don't know. Like I have like things on my desk, like I was gonna stick a guitar pick to my head earlier. I was like, don't do that, you're on camera. Like I'm right there with you. I feel it.
Yeah, usually I have rings on, and I'm just like constantly playing with my rings the entire time and moving in my chair. I think that's the thing, like with painting too. It's so therapeutic. It like calms me down.
Yeah.
Just like, and watching like wet blending, just I could sit there and just watch people wet blend. It's like the weirdest thing. Yeah.
Do you understand why people think that wet blending's hard? I've never understood it.
Yes, and I think the thing is paint consistency. Usually when you wet blend, you don't want to thin your paints that much.
Sure.
And with acrylics, it's I don't use anything to keep my paints I can't think of the word right now, from drying up to slow
A retardant, yeah.
I don't use a retardant. So I'm used to, like with canvas painting and painting with really crappy acrylics, I'm used to working very, very fast.
Yeah.
So when I wet blend, like you slop a good amount of paint on there and you go back and forth and you gotta work quickly. Like that's the thing. Like you don't have time. So that's most of the time where I'm ignoring chat. I'm like, guys, I'm wet blending. I am not looking up. And most of the time they'll be spamming commands and trying to get my attention. I'll be like, nope. And and sometimes you wet blend and you'll have to go back over it, or you keep adding paint and until you get what you want. So whereas someone like Sam, who's been doing it forever, can just, like, he's a magician, a wizard with that paintbrush, he can do it so quickly.
Right.
Whereas like it takes me a little bit more time, but I can get there. Like sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I wet blend more than I need to just because I think it's fun. I love mixing paint and color together just to see how it reacts. Like it's, like I said, to me it's therapeutic. But yeah, it's a little bit to get used to, I think, for some people, because you have to work so quickly. And sometimes if you don't move something the right way, it's not going to turn out right. And you have to go back and you have to keep working with it. And you have to just keep getting it to where you want it. It's not something that it's like controlled chaos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you have to go back over it anyway if you're doing layer paints.
Yeah.
So why not just do it all at the same time? It's much cooler looking. And like gradients get made so much easier. I love the look of, like in watercolors when you start blending over each other and you have those nice little like color collisions, or like in silk screening and stuff like that. And your yellows and your reds hit at this, like off register just a bit, and like it adds this weird dimension. You don't get that if you were doing one color at a time on a mini. You get a much more controlled thing. But I like brush strokes. I like paint that isn't really beautifully blended. Like I like it knowing the fact that like somebody went through this and got like the look that they wanted, and they said that is enough and moved on to the next part, like. And for me, like, I think that the speed part, I can't just watch paint dry. Like I hate it. Like I want to see things happening, and so it's like to me, I have to work 3 or 4 different colors at a time, and I'm just like blah 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 blah, and I'm all over the model, and I'm sure that there's a better way to do it, but like I don't know a better way to do it.
Yeah, I think in the brushstrokes too, because like I said, I had canvas painting, and when you get really close up into a canvas, you're gonna see like there's texture. The paint's not perfect,
Right.
But it's emotion. Like it's all of the things that is chaotic and not perfect. Like the imperfections on there, when you back away and you look at it, that's what makes it and creates it. And when I first started mini painting, I had it in my head that I couldn't have that. I thought it had to be perfect and smooth and now I am like, there are parts that I want more smooth, like when I do skin textures and stuff. But I have now started to understand that I can make something beautiful that looks a little bit rougher up close.
Sure.
If I'm trying to convey a certain emotion or appear a certain way, because when you back away from it, then that's where the beauty really shines.
Yeah,
and I think that's in some people in the way, like where it looks beautifully airbrushed or something like that. Like I don't have an airbrush, so I'm guessing that's what they use for some things. But it's just silky smooth, and you can't see any of those brush strokes, and it looks cool. That's the effect. But I tend to kind of like things that are a little bit rougher as well.
Oh, it was when I was looking at some of Shoshi's pieces, and I zoomed into them on Instagram or something, and I realized that you could see brush strokes, and like, because like at arm's length they look like magic. They're like so full of life, and then when you get up close, you're just like, she's an actual, like it's a very painterly style, and that's when I was like, Oh, I don't need to always have the airbrushed smooth finish. In fact, am bad at it. So why try to be good at something I'm bad at? Lean into the things that I actually excel at. And that has made my life so much. I have so much more fun now with what I'm doing because I'm not trying to hit somebody else's marks. I mean, I can't do what Joshi does either, but she made me feel brave enough to try something that is more to myself, which, and I'm sure you'll have people say the exact same thing to you. Like your things made me feel brave enough to do my own take on it, and that's one of the coolest things about being a content creator is hearing that you've made somebody want to try something. I love that aspect of sharing artwork with people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing is I've heard so many people that are like, oh, you do this and I can't do that. And it's like, I know it's so hard. Like, even I do it sometimes, but you gotta step away from that and realize that the only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself, and where you were yesterday to where you are today and where you could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, you look at someone for inspiration, and if there's something you want to achieve that you're not achieving right now, work towards it. But at the same time, you should do what you like doing. Never try to do someone else's style just because you think that's the better style or more people would like it. Do what you like, and whether or not people like it, it's just gonna be the way it is, and it stinks. If you're not appreciated for it, it really does. It's gut wrenching, but at the same time, if you try to be something you're not gonna truly be happy inside. And that's the same thing with art, with content creating. Like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I know that. Not everyone's gonna like me. I'm fine with that. I am totally okay with that because I know that at least I'm being myself.
Yeah.
And the people who do watch me, who like my stuff, then they are there for the right reasons. And at the end of the day, I can live with that, So whether that's 5 people or 50 people, that's all that matters, I probably said about 5 times, but yes.
It's good. Well, we have blasted way past the time that I said that we were going to be. I've had to stop a timer twice now, so it wouldn't get in the way.
Sorry.
But I love talking with you. I love watching your streams. Thank you so much for getting into this world that hopefully more people are starting to see Twitch as the place that magic happens on a daily basis, and you're just missing it. Like this, to me, like, I love watching YouTube, but I love seeing things in action. I love being a part of that, and just seeing just a glimpse inside is really special. And thank you so much for putting yourself out there and giving that to everybody, because that you have a great stream, you have great personality, and I think that you're gonna go a lot of places with this, because I couldn't imagine anybody not wanting to work with you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's another thing. Like, I don't have crazy amount of goals for where Twitch per se will lead me, but
sure,
the one thing I love about that is the ability to work with so many different artists, like bringing everyone together. Like, I've met you and all these other people, and I just want to keep painting and improving myself as that, and seeing where this can end up. I'm just letting it be natural, and that's all. That's just me, just letting it happen.
Let it happen. Yeah, no, I think it's a good way to be, especially right now in this like, it feels like we're in a renaissance. Something's happening, and when Warhammer sells out of all of their new 40K boxes before they even hit the shelves,
like there are more people in here than they knew. like this is really big, and people are paying attention, and all it's going to take is just a little search, and all of a sudden, new people are going to be in here having, tabletop minions bringing people from YouTube to pay attention to it. The tide is rising, and like all of our ships are going to be floating much higher soon. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I don't even play 40K, but everyone's getting the Indominus box, and I have this like fear of missing out. And I'm like, I kind of like, I'm watching Adam and Sam and like Duff, everyone paint Necrons, and I'm like, I want some Necrons now. And I might have the chance possibly to paint a few, but we'll see. And yeah, I know I've been rambling on, but just as one thing to kind of wrap it up is, like you mentioned before, there's a lot of people that get into this as a gaming side and then go into the art. And I feel like myself, obviously, and Eni, I think that's why we connected, is we got in it from the art aspect and then is going to the gaming, because I'm slowly, eventually, one day building my Nighthaunt army.
Nice.
I do want to play Age of Sigmar, because, like I said, I'm more into the fantasy side. And yeah, I'm attracted to the art aspect, and it is nice that I am finding friends that are teaching me the gaming side, and then I'm finding friends that I'm bringing from other art and other communities in to as well. And it's like, we can all be friends.
Yeah. Well, and like all of the, like I've taken a little bit of heat from saying, everybody who's passionate about this and are gamers really actually don't game that much, because like there's so much time involved in this hobby. Like it's like, even if you're not part of the art side of it and you're just assembling models, it takes time. You like literally everything about the hobby, like the actual game is like 2 hours of your life, but it took you 10 weeks to get you to that game. That is a real commitment. And so people, when, especially if they just bought everything off the shelf and they didn't just like eBay something that somebody already has built, they're going to be here for a while, and it's up to us to have them, show them that these can be more fun than just rolling dice on the table, because I like playing games. I find 40K and its big competitive side kind of dull, but like I like the small games. I love playing like 1,000 points of something. Like that's when like an hour into it and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun. Now the night's back, and I can not be mad that I spent all this time getting stomped into the ground, because I always lose. I suck at all these games.
But if you get to play with friends, like, it doesn't even matter. And like people who don't even paint their minis but play the game, if you're paying a commission painter to paint your minis, you're at least appreciating them, and you appreciate the art aspect. So I feel like you're still part of the community as well. So like, yeah. I think you're all like, whether you put paint on it or you just watch someone put paint on it, if you just play but you like it, like it's all fun and games.
There's no fun police here.
No.
The best way that you can enjoy it, that's what we're here for, and it's very exciting. Zambies, oh my God, I
talked your ear off.
Yeah, thank you so much for hanging. Like I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate
you wanting to interview me, because you're like, oh yeah, I gotta interview you. And I'm like, me?
Yeah, you.
I'm like, I'm the new kid on the block. I don't know why you want to interview me.
I mean, like, seriously, like, one of my favorite interviews that I've done was with Miniocalypse, who, like, he is a very new YouTuber, and he just started painting minis in November, and like, he was super honest and raw with me, and like, it goes back to like say that, like, the hobby aspect of this is full of thinking people. Like, we are We are always, our brains are working on something here, and I want to know this and be a part of that. So I dig it, and I'm glad that you're here.
Well, thank you. Like I said, I really appreciate it. And this is nice because the whole time we've been talking, like I was nervous at first, but I don't like. I just feel like we're two people hanging out. So.
That's right. I told you. You got to get them yips out, and then you're good. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to the rest of your night. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. I so appreciate your support. If you want to see more hobby content, hop on over to twitch.tv/Heath Aldrich to see all of your fun hobby content streaming whenever I get a free chance. If you like listening to these episodes in more of a podcast form, I should be on all of your favorite podcasting apps. Make sure that you like and subscribe to me there. If you can, leave me a 5-star review. I'd really appreciate it. Have a nice rest of your day, and we'll be talking to you soon.